Well, hello once again, everybody. You're back for another episode of Modeling with Mike, and welcome to part two of the Tools of the Trade series. And in this video, we will be covering scissors, knives, pin vices, and paints, and what they do, and where, and how much they cost. First of all, Moosey's around here somewhere. I think he just went into the other room to play. But he says hi. Uh, so at the end of the video, stick around. We're gonna got a little announcement to make about part one of the series, plus a bonus tip for you. So stick around for that. Okay, number one, scissors. Scissors are basically used for what scissors are normally used for, yeah. But in the modeling world, I use them basically for cutting out decals, maskings, uh, stuff like that. I don't want to use my hobby knife for that because if you use a hobby knife, it's just a single blade, okay? And if you cut something with a single blade, like a scalpel or something like that, it's whatever you're cutting's gonna gonna like butterfly out, and it's gonna have raised edges. And that's especially true with paper. So if you're cutting out decals are on a special type of paper, just have this film on them that allows them to slide off and attach to the model. But a pair of scissors has two cutting edges, and that shears into the paper, and it doesn't leave a raised edge. Now you want a smooth edge because that film that the decal's on has to slide off onto the model. And if you have raised edges, you can either, number one, it'll bunch up, catch on one of those edges and bunch up, or worse yet, number two, it'll rip. And then you depending on how many pieces it rips in, how small they are, you might be able to repair it, you might not. So I always use a pair of scissors for that. Plus maskings for like cockpits on planes. Get a nice smooth cut on that. So if you have raised edges on that, that's just a place where your paint can bleed into and go on your clear plastic, and you don't want that when you're painting. That's the whole idea of masking. So always have a good pair of scissors. Okay, now can you get these? You can get, I mean, go to the dollar store, and you can either go to the craft section or the school supply section and get a good set of scissors. You don't need I wouldn't go get the big household size that your mom used to use for sewing and stuff, because a lot of these decals are very small, and you got to have really precise cuts. And if you have a larger size scissors, in my opinion, you lose a lot of control of how long your cut is. So get a small set. I think these are 5 inch, but you can get those at the dollar store for $2 a pair. Now, I looked them up on Amazon for a pair of Tamayas. You're gonna you're gonna pay $20.36 for a pair of scissors just to cut out decals and maskings. No thanks. Next, your hobby knife. Hobby knife is so versatile. You can use this to scrape off once you're like you have fuselage halves in your planes, and if you put them together, lots of times you'll have a seam that's sticking up. You can scrape that down with a hobby knife and to where it's close enough to the surface of the plastic that you can put some filler in there, sand it down, and get a nice even finish there. A lot of people use these to take the parts off the sprues instead of a sprue cutter. That's fine. I mean, any, uh, I use this a lot of times. I have made paper models. Paper models are not real, you know, paper like your notebook paper. They're like cardstock. And you need a good sharp knife to get in there and cut the parts out. I wouldn't use a pair of scissors for that because your scissors, there's a lot of very close and detailed cuts that you have to make. And I just find I get more control from a hobby knife than I do from a pair of scissors. Now, most hobby knives come with like supply of 5 blades or something like that. And you can get replacement blades on Amazon. I just bought 2 months ago. I bought a set of 100 replacement blades for this knife for like $5. So it's very cheap, very cheap. And you can do a lot of things with this. Like I said, you can open up holes with it, trim off flash, uh, any kind of detailed cutting. You can shave off uh, shave off the nubs from sprues when you get them cut off with either your hobby knife or your sprue cutters. You can shave them down to where they're even with the part. So for these, you can get one of these on Amazon for $5.97, and it does not come with replacement blades. But like I said, I bought 100 replacement blades for $5 a couple months ago. So you're spending $10, $11 for a nice hobby knife and 100 replacement blades. You can't beat it. Next thing is a pin vise. This is called a pin vise. It is actually a hand drill. Any kind of drilling you need this for. Uh, any location holes that are flashed over or aren't drilled to begin with or need to be widened or enlarged, use this. This one came with a set of 9 or 10 bits, and I got it 2 years ago, and I'm still using it. These bits are still just as sharp as they were the day I got it. So yeah, that's pin vise. You need those. If you want to buy it by itself, Amazon has them for $8.29. And if you buy the name brand Tamiya brand, you're gonna go $20.30 for one of those. Guess where I'm going? Okay, last of all are your paints. When I started, I looked at Amazon and I was going to look for the cheapest paints I could find. I found these are called Ophir, Ophir. These are 30 milliliters per bottle. The problem with these is they do a good job. I found they do a good job, but they're inconsistent as far as thinning them. Your lighter colors, you can use those right out of the bottle, but the darker you get, the more you have to thin them, uh, almost to a 60-40 or 75-25 thinner to paint ratio on your darker colors. These here are on the Amazon website for $6.38 a bottle for 30 milliliters. I also use, this is what probably my go-to paint now, is the Vallejo Model Air. You get 17 milliliters per bottle, and the cost on Amazon is $6.32. Basically, paints are going to be one of those items in your modeling that you do not want to skimp on. And you really can't. You can't go in, you can go and buy a big old jug of acrylic paint at the dollar store for like $2, and you will pay dearly for it because your model's going to be the ugliest thing on the face of the earth once you're done painting it. So I would go with true model paint, and you're going to have to pay for it. That's all there is to it. Like I said, Model Air, I thin these about 50-50. Uh, they're really, really good paint. They spray on nice and even, and I've had no problems with them. Uh, some other name brand paints are Tamiya. A lot of people swear by Tamiya. I haven't used it before, but I found that at $8.30 for, I believe it's a 23 milliliter jar. And AK Real Colors. And I've heard differing reviews on that. Some people don't like them, some people love them. Basically, that's $10.59 for a 17 milliliter bottle, about the same size as this. But basically, paints are a very personal thing, both in the kind of paint you use and the brand that you use. Uh, Paints are just like an airbrush. There are people who swear by one brand and will only use one brand. There's other people who use another brand. Like I'm big on Model Air. I'm big on Vallejo for paint. I do use the O for quite a bit because I spent like $100 for 50 bottles of it, so I'm gonna use it. I use this one basically for an undercoat, sort of like a primer, and it's great for that. Uh, but same with an airbrush. I'll do a whole video on airbrushes and airbrushing, but I'm a big gallery fan. There's other people who are harder than Steenbeck and others who are Avada. It's just a very personal thing. So, uh, if I were you, I'd my very first model, I see the paint call outs, I get a bottle of different brand for each color and see what works best for you. And then you can use the others and just when you reorder, just stick to that brand. That's what I do. Okay, so clear coats. There are clear coats. Basically, clear coats are you use that to make an. I would when once your painting's done, your sanding's done, everything, you put a clear coat on for a nice smooth surface for your decals to go on. If you put it on just paint, you can, but you're risking having silvering, which is light going under the decal and it shows like a silver uh, color underneath it. That's why it's called silvering. But if you have a clear coat on there before you put your decal on, it'll come on. It should go on nicely with and evenly without any lumps or bumps or silvering or anything like that. So basically, you can do clear coats. Basically, I would go brand name. Uh, that's what the bonus tip is. I'll get to that. It has to do with clear coat. But you have three different sheens. You have gloss coat, which is very shiny. You have a matte coat, which is just dull. It's just like a flat coat. And you have a satin coat or a semi-gloss. Both the same thing, but it's sort of halfway between the two extremes. So, the matte coat I would use if you're going to weather an aircraft or a ship, something like that, or a tank. I would put a matte coat on. You don't want a semi-gloss or a gloss for something that's supposed to look like it's been outside for a while. Okay? Semi-gloss, I would use for like a plane model that's not going to be weathered that much. Uh, Same thing for a tank. Models that are not going to be weathered too badly. Uh, I'd also use a matte finish on tanks. Tanks are and AFVs are just normally dull, no shine to them. They're supposed to be camouflaged and sink into their surroundings, so to speak. Now, gloss, I leave gloss coat to, like I said, that coat between the paint and the decals. And once the decals are on there, then you do your either satin or your gloss or your matte. And basically, you can either do two ways of that. You can use a rattle can, or you can have it in a jar and you can brush it on. And basically the cost, you can get I go with Rust-Oleum at Walmart. It's $6.98 for a 12-ounce rattle can. I bought one when I first started back modeling 2 years ago, and it lasted me like 6 to 9 months. If you use it correctly and sparingly and not too much, not loaded up on the model, that thing will last you. Whereas Tamiya will cost you $13.40, almost twice as much for a 100 milliliter rattle can. You're paying almost twice as much for probably half as much. Go with Rust-Oleum. So there you go. Now, if you give me a little bit of time here, I am going to set up the bonus tip, and when I come back, I'll tell you about my plans for the first part of the series. So I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and this is my bonus tip. Is Holloway House Quick Shine. I use this in place of like Rust-Oleum clear coat or Tamiya clear coat. This is for my gloss coats, and this also makes a great decal solution. Basically, it makes a great decal solution. Like it says here, it's ultra gloss polish. It protects, and it has a brilliant shine. This is also great for car windows, plain not cockpits, but canopies. Any clear plastic part, you can soak it, stick it in there for about 5 seconds, pull it out, put it on a piece of paper towel. Sorry about that. And it'll come out just nice and beautiful. But used to be that you'd use modelers in the past would use Pledge floor wax for these applications, but they stopped producing that. And you can find it on eBay, but for about the same size bottle as this, it's $800 the last time I looked. Because they don't make it anymore. You can't find it. They don't exist on the store shelves. So they're up there in price. You want one, you're going to have to pay major dollars for it. But I saw two model channels do tests on this. They sprayed it through an airbrush onto like plastic spoons, and the shine was just excellent, and the strength of it, they flicked it with their fingernail and they couldn't chip it, even if they tried. It was great. So two, at least two, and now you're having three model channels endorse this. You can get this at Walmart for $6.87 for 27 ounces. I got this about a year and a half ago, and it's down to about here. So, as you can see, this is what it comes out like. It's like a watery, milky substance, but it dries clear, crystal clear, and it, like I said, it is so durable and very. It's useful for so many things. Your gloss coat, decal solution, you could use it for. That's basically the two things I use it for. And this, I, I, I sprayed this NASCAR model with it, and look at that shine. I mean, look at that shine. I sprayed it with 4 coats of the Quick Shine. Of course, I let it dry between each coat. Then I sanded it down, wet sanded it with 3 different grits of sandpaper. I used 1500, 3000, I believe, and 7500, I believe. And then I used some rubbing compound, 2 coats of rubbing compound, and then 2 coats of car wax on it. And I mean, I still love the shine on it. I mean, look at that. I mean, oh my. But this will last you for a long, long time. Yeah, I was surprised. The price went up on it. When I bought this, it was like $4. So the price went up $2, $3 in about 2 years. But you know how the inflation went the past couple of years. So that is my bonus tip for this video. So let's go over what we learned. Need a pair of scissors to cut out your decals, cut out your maskings, and cut out the shapes of your masking tape. You need hobby knife for every other cutting need, and shave down those seam lines, shave down flash to even with the part. Uh, Use it to rough up tires, but I use a piece sanding stick for that. Uh, just so many cutting things. You can open up some holes with it, but I'd use a pin vise. But you need a good hobby knife. You also need a pin vise for every drilling application, widening holes, drilling out holes that the manufacturer omitted, or drilling out flashed over holes, meaning the hole's there but it's filled with plastic. You need to open it up. What else did I do? Yeah, paints. Paints, like I said, very, very personal choice between the brand and the kind. You have enamels, you have acrylics, you have lacquers. And One thing I forgot to tell you is if you're using enamels and lacquers, always make sure you have ventilation or a setup like I have where I have a spray booth and an indoor dryer vent with the hose going to it, water on the bottom, filter on top, on the front or on top, and also you need a respirator mask. You do not want those going into your lungs. Even if you're using acrylics, I use a respirator mask, and I will show you those when we get into airbrushing. So that's it for that. I want to tell you though what's coming up and the news about the first installment in this series. First, I'll go with the redo of the first installment. Part one, I went and I looked over at it again, ran it through, and the volume stunk. That was my fault. I didn't know how to use the volume controls on CapCut, the editing software I used, and therefore it came out with basically no volume at all. You couldn't hear me, and you lost some good information on that of some very important tools when it comes to building the model. So, and also, I'm going to be transparent about it. I sounded like an idiot who didn't know what he was talking about. So, I'm going to redo that and do it right because you guys deserve it. You guys deserve to know what's being said in my videos. And yeah, I'm going to redo that. And also, I'm going to do that will be public a week from today, which will be the 17th of January. And then next Wednesday, the final installment of this series, part 3, will go public at 8:30 in the morning. All my videos, no matter what day it is, go public at 8:30 in the morning. And so I hope you'll be around to watch those. So basically all there is to be said is if you like what you're seeing so far, remember to like, subscribe, share, put your comments down in the comment section. If I get comments, I will respond to them. If you have questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Also, if you have any ideas for video subjects, put them there. I'll give everyone consideration. And that being said, I will see you, Wednesday morning. And always remember, never stop pushing your boundaries. And with that, I'll say have a good day. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.